Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Second host call of the weekend. Thank you so much. Hopefully you tuned in yesterday to check out our 5 questions on that Saturday show. If you didn't, it was episode 3376. And right after today's show, you can easily pop back to that because we answered questions on all sorts of based health issues, such as fat deposits on the upper thighs and all around the hips and thighs. We went over autoimmune disease and how the antibodies can live within the body and what to do about that. We went over children's based dosing for certain health protocols. We talked about reverse osmosis filters and whether you needed to add drops back for minerals. And then we spoke about a sea salt brand that claims to be the best of the best of the best. And I share my thoughts on that as well. All right, let's dive into today's show, episode 3370. Actually, today's episode 3376. Yesterday was episode 3375. All right, first question is from Rocco. And Rocco says, "Hi, Stephen. I've done the CBO protocol now and follow that diet long term. I recently tracked my intake in Chronometer, and due to the lack of dairy, I'm only getting around 400 milligrams of calcium from food, plus 100 milligrams from the DNS, well below the 1,000 milligram daily requirement. To bridge the gap, I plan to supplement with CalMag, but noticed the recommended dose is only 2 capsules, 200 milligrams. Would it be fair or would it be safe to take 4 capsules daily to meet my calcium needs? I'm also fine with the extra magnesium as I deal with a fair amount of stress. I did see nut milks that are fortified with calcium. However, I believe supplementing would be just as effective as my current nut milk is not fortified with calcium. Thanks and love your work." Thanks, Rocco. Appreciate you. All right. So yeah, let's go over this. I actually recommend getting as much calcium as you can, that 1,000 milligrams plus, through food. So what I would do, and I actually have podcasts on this. You can check it out at stephencabral.com/podcast. Just type in high calcium foods. Believe it or not, so like if you're really tracking your macros, there's some low calorie veggies that can really boost your calcium. And that'll be really easy to add at lunch and dinner. And then I would say take 2 to 3 of the CalMag Complete at dinner, and that would be okay. So hopefully that's helpful. That way there you get more from food, and then you can round it out with another 200 to 300 milligrams from CalMag Complete. All right, which is also great for the nervous system and great for sleep. Al says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. Can you explain whether air filters with ionizers and plasma wave are good choices? Some sources say that they create unnatural and thus air." I don't know what thus air means. "Some says it's the best. Please share your opinion. Thank you." Yeah, I've actually answered this on ionizers with air filters, but I'll answer it again. Happy to. So the ionizers actually do work. So let's go over that. There are some that produce basically extra oxygen molecules or negative ions. And what they do is they're going to go in the air and they are going to grab onto pathogenic particles in the air, particles that shouldn't necessarily be there, smoke or VOCs, etc., and then grab them and they can then pull them down to the ground, which is why, again, you have to be careful with dust in your house because then the dust gets kicked up and that goes back in the air, believe it or not. I know it's crazy, but it is actually true. Or it gets, ideal world, sucked into the air filter and then it all gets trapped there. That's an ideal world of what we want. If I open my air filter, you should see the dust in it. It's crazy, right? And I try to vacuum it every month. So that's what I do. Okay. Now the ionizers, I don't run all the time. I'm actually not an advocate of running them all the time. I don't think it's good because what can happen is those can actually build up in your body. And although they're meant to squelch free radicals, the buildup of them can actually be a free radical or create more oxidative stress. So ionizers can be appropriate to use, especially if you're not in the house or when trying to clear a paint smell, a cooking smoke, whatever it is. That's appropriate, but I wouldn't run them all the time. All right, Al, hopefully that helps. Layla says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. I'm writing in for my brother-in-law. He's in his late 30s and has memory issues. When he was, I think, 19, he spent a day using paint used for semi-trucks, which he told me is super intense, toxic industrial, I believe aerosol style. There was not good ventilation. It wasn't until he took his mask off that he realized it wasn't sealed appropriately. He said it was that incident when his memory changed for good. Because his brain was still developing, he believes there's nothing that can be done. I feel like there's got to be something to at least help. My guess is things that help oxidative stress, among probably other things. Would love to get your insights. Thanks so much for all you do." Yeah, I'm happy to help with this, Layla. So I was actually just teaching this in the new IHP3 curriculum on toxic heavy metals. And one of the case studies was on mechanics. And so this is kind of around the same area. And so, yeah, believe it or not, like you need KN95, 99 or 99 or 100 masks, like ventilators for these things. And if you're not wearing a ventilator, they really are toxic and they can actually go to the brain and nervous system. So I'm not discounting that that didn't happen. However, most of these things are able to be reversed. That's the amazing thing. 21-day functional medicine detox, intermittent fasting, using things like liposomal glutathione, sauna, the daily detox support after the daily functional medicine detox, the daily foundational protocol level 2, vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, all of these things are what I would use. Liposomal glutathione, as I said before, and then maybe even if we feel there's really something for the brain, magnesium threonate, as well as a liposomal alpha lipoic acid. All right, kind of a lot. I hit you with a lot. You can rewind and then you can move through. But again, have them read the rain barrel effect, have them move through the de-stress protocol, 21-day detox, work the process. It's not going to happen overnight. But a young individual in their 30s or late 30s, there's a lot we can do. All right, Bettina's up next. Hello, Bettina. Thanks for all you do and for giving this possibility to get your take on things. Happy to. A friend of mine of the family, age 70, has just been diagnosed with PLS. What would you recommend if this was someone in your family? Thanks for your time. I love that people are catching on to that I can't give medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, and medical diagnosis for anything. I'm here to provide health-based education and knowledge. But for something like primary lateral sclerosis, this is something very serious, right? And so we obviously want to work on this and work on it as quickly as possible. We don't have a year, 2 years, 3 years to start to create a protocol. We need to work on it right away. So this is a neuromuscular disease, quite rare, but it's a neuromuscular disease. And it does happen in certain individuals, which leads with weakness in the muscles and then in voluntary muscle work. So it's very difficult for that person to have full control over their motor function. And eventually it can lead to weakness of the muscles, falls, not being able to walk, move, clumsiness, all of those things. All right. The nice thing is this, we begin to get to work right away to try to stop it in its tracks and hopefully is reverse as much as we can. And so it's very much like the protocol that I just gave our friend, Layla. And so we want to work the de-stress protocol, run the big 5 labs, see what's going on. Begin to work the process, 21-day functional medicine detox, CBO protocol, CBO finisher with heavy metal detox, using the daily foundational protocol, using the immune protocol, work the system. Just continue to work the system. Drain the body, squeegee it out. It's like a full sponge. It's like a rain barrel. Empty the rain barrel. That's what we're looking to do while replenishing all of the vital nutrients that the body needs in order to be able to heal. Remember, no integrative health practitioner, no doctor ever healed an individual. They helped put their body in position to heal, and the body did the rest. Let's help this person put their body in position to heal. But at age 70 plus, we just need to be gentle as we move through the protocol. And they need a good integrative health practitioner, level 2, to work with them. All right, Becky's up next. Hello, Dr. Rawl. What would you recommend for someone with untreated Scheuermann's disease? My husband, age 47, has this, and so does my 14-year-old son. It runs in my husband's family, as my husband's mother has it as well. Okay. I don't know if I've ever done a podcast on this. But Becky, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. You're right back in because I don't look things up as I'm doing the show. Scheuermann's disease is essentially kyphosis of your posture where you start to develop a little bit of a hump on the back, and that has multiple names as well. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but if we are, the way that we go about fixing this is, 1, opening up the SCM muscles in the neck, the pectoral muscles in the chest, the lats under the arm. We begin to strengthen the muscles of the upper trapezius, rhomboids, and the posterior deltoids through postural-based exercises. So stretching the anterior, strengthening the posterior, and then also look to where this kyphosis is setting in because it sets in with certain individuals faster than others. But for me, It's not just physical therapy based, because what happens is it starts to collapse some of the cervical vertebrae and the top of the thoracic vertebrae, but that's as the disease progresses. But what we need to work on is core strength, postural assessment, postural analysis. I talked about yesterday. Oh, who did I talk about this with? It was my top personal training recommendations. I answer so many questions. I actually don't know where I answered this. Interesting. But work with someone from the National Academy of Sports Medicine on these postural-based issues, or a really good chiropractor that doesn't just do adjustments, but they actually work on the whole person and the posture. And that would be my first place to go, without a doubt. So again, as long as we're talking about kyphotic posture, getting the hump on the back, really rounded shoulders, leading to a breakdown in the vertebrae, yeah, if we're talking about the same thing, then yes, that's exactly what I would do. All right. Thank you, Becky, for writing in. And thanks so much for everybody for your support of the show. It happens because of you. We're going from 2016 strong. We'll be back each and every day on the Cabral Concept. Thanks so much. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.